What's going on, you guys? I just kind of want to go over my thoughts today as I'm looking at the US dollar, different indices, the euro, and kind of go over my point of view. So you can see with the dollar index, price had created a resistance zone back here back in June. And we tested it. We finally broke through. We came back down, tested it now as support, and price pushed up. And then around October, we started to come down a little bit on the US dollar. You can see for quite some time we've had quite a bullish run of the US dollar. So now we've come back down to this zone that we were in before and we're retesting it. So we've got one touch and we've got two touches here. And price is kind of moving slow off of it. We didn't get a big push, but tomorrow we do have a lot of news going on. We have the non-farm employment change, the GDP quarter over quarter, JOLTS job openings, pending home sales month over month, and then Jerome Powell is going to speak at 1:30 Eastern. So if if we're looking at the news, this is kind of what you're going to see happen tomorrow. Oh, it's over here. I'm so used to looking at Forex Factory on my phone that I'm trying to click on these to open it up. So you can see that we're expected 196,000, and then if you come in here, it says actual greater than forecast is good for the currency. So if this comes in at probably 200,000 or over, that's probably going to add to a push to the upside for the U.S. dollar. Then you can look at GDP. We're expecting a 2.8%, which is a 0.2% increase from the last quarter that we reported this. If you come in here, this says actual greater than forecast is good for currency. So if that comes out honestly, if it comes out 2.8 to 2.9, you will see another kind of kick to the upside from the U.S. dollar. I guess all these things kind of have to play. I feel like the non-farm employment change and the GDP and the JOLTS job openings kind of all play together. So if we see all of these come in green, um, like this one, if this one comes in above 10.24 million, then I don't know, maybe something like 10.3 to 10.4 or higher, we could see a significant increase. And then the home sales, if the pending home sales comes in greater than forecasted, I mean, all of these things are going to play a big impact on the U.S. dollar tomorrow. And then whatever Jerome Powell decides to say tomorrow when he talks at 1:30 will also make another impact. So if we see a lot of green here, we could see the U.S. dollar push. Now, if Jerome Powell comes out tomorrow and talks, so let's say something like this happens. I mean, this is all hypothetical, but just kind of my thoughts. So in the morning, let's say we see green news, right? We get a good push to the upside. Well, then Jerome Powell can come in and say something like they're going to do less tightening on the economy. People are going to get hype. And then you're going to start to see the US dollar push down because people are going to say, hey, I feel like I can afford to put some money into risky assets now because they're gonna stop tightening on the economy. That indicates that the economy is getting better. We can start dumping our money back into our investments. Maybe we found a bottom. I don't know. This is just a lot of like retail thought process. So we could take a look at US 30. We see price had come down. So let me delete all this. Price had come down to this zone here. We did push through it, and price did come back. So we've got a little push through it, come back, and we are seeing some rejection on this 4-hour candle here. So in the morning, you could see something like this happen. All of these come in higher. So let's see. Job openings, let's say job openings comes in higher. That means that there's a lot of open jobs. People aren't working. If these pending home sales goes up, that means people aren't buying houses, right? People are going to start to get like, oh, geez, here we go. They're going to see this price action. We're going to see this dump. Not like crazy, but it's going to come down. Then you can take a look into this zone here. Take a look into this zone here. Well, let's say we get price pushed down to here tomorrow. in the morning. Then 1:30, Jerome Powell comes on and says, "Hey, you know what? It looks like what we've been doing is working. We're gonna lessen our tightening of the economy right now." And then you could see US 30 have a little bit of a rally. So we could start to move for US 30, in my opinion. We could start to move sideways here. Um, kind of just start to see price play around in between these zones here. These two green zones. Could see price start to play in here. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of what could happen tomorrow. Now, if we see the opposite of all of that, we could see, all this news come in lower than expected and see the US dollar pushed back down to here. And then Jerome Powell says, hey, what we're doing is not working. We are going to raise interest rates by 75 basis points on the next federal funds day. If that happens, we'll see price then do something like this. We'll see price push down in the morning because news wasn't the best, and then Jerome Powell come out and say that, and then we'll get a push to the upside. So we got a couple options tomorrow. Really, what our job is as traders is to react, right? We're not trying to predict, we're trying to react. So what I'm saying is I have these two scenarios, and if these two scenarios happen, then I'm going to be placing trades accordingly. If we were to draw this, if we do get something like this on the US dollar, where price pushes down and then pushes back up, we could see price continue to fall. But then if I get something here and something like this happens, price pushes up, come back down, we see rejection here, price could push back up. We're looking to take longs on the US dollar. So it's just a little game of reacting. Now we can kind of move into some of the Forex pairs I'm looking at. I know some of you guys that are in the premium signals, we took this. Oh, let me delete this. So we took this NZD CHF trade because we were seeing some bullish movement in risk-on assets, and the New Zealand dollar is considered a risk-on asset. So I did look to get into a long on here, and then we did get into another trade, AUD USD. We're seeing some rejection happening here. Price came down, came back up with some wicks, rejected again. If you look at the DeFi Da Vinci cheat code, we did get a sell back here. Price did reject. So what's going to happen essentially with the indicator, how it's going to work, is if price pushes up here above this black line, it's going to say, oh, we've had an impulse push above most recent swing high, which is this back here. It's going to call buy. And then if that happens, I mean, stops are already at break even for this trade, so we'll just kind of get out with no losses, no gains. But if that happens and price comes back down to retest this black line, we'll be looking to get into some buys. But what I'm hoping to happen right now is price pushes below this black line, and it'll say, hey, price has pushed below the most recent swing low, so it'll call a sell signal, and then on the retest of this, I will be looking to enter more sells and kind of just ride this wave down. And that is, for me, in hopes that we do start to see some bullish volume, bullish volume for the US dollar here. So another potential trade opportunity would look something like this for me for AUD USD. Same with NZD CHF. Honestly, we are pushing up here. We have broken above most the recent swing high on this one. You can see we're calling lots of buys here. Price broke above, price broke above, broke above, broke above, and then came back up with this candle here, broke above. We did get a retest, so technically right now we are in a pretty good area to take another long position here. I would probably do tight stops since we already did get that rejection candle off and we're 2-3 candles past it. But we do have another entry option here for NZD CHF. If we come look at Euro USD, we just looked at AUD USD. We're kind of starting to see the same price action here. For me, for Euro USD, what I would like to see is probably price push down to here to the most recent swing low and So it looks something like this. Price pushes down, comes back up. We see rejection happen here. I'm looking to take a sell, and then I'll ride that back down. And I mean, a lot of this is dependent on what happens tomorrow. So yeah, so that's what I'll be looking for Euro USD. Let's see. Let's come through here. GBP USD for me has got a long way to go if we're looking at trade. We did see price push up. We didn't really get the rejection I wanted. So this is actually a good lesson right here. Let me remove this. For those of you that are using the indicator, there's a difference, you know, between let me see here. Okay, so we get our buy here. Price pushes up, comes down, it rejects off of this. We wick up, and we don't close above this candle. What I'm looking for me, what I'm looking for in a rejection candle is price to break above this line here and close above it. If we can get price in the first 2 or 3 candles to close above this candle that retests this zone, so we have most recent swing high, we break the swing high, price comes back down, rejects the candle that it rejects on. If we can't get a candle to close above this candle, then for me, it's not a true rejection. And as you can see, price has pushed down below. Probably would have hit stop loss depending where you had him on. But yeah, so that's kind of what it looks like. And then if you look at NZDCHF, we see price has a buy. This candle, I mean, let's zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. But this candle right here did close above this candle. Not by a lot, but it did close above it. We did have the buy signal called. Price came back down. It rejected. Comes up. We have closed above it. So technically right now would be a good option to take a buy. Stops below the rejection candle. But anyways, back to Euro USD. Or no, we were on GBP USD. Okay, yeah. So, like I said, price is coming down. For me to look into any sort of sells on this, I'd need to see price. I need to see price break below this supply zone. Something like this. Come back up, reject. Once that happens, the bot's gonna start, or the indicator is gonna start calling sells, and then, you know, on the retest, I'll be looking to enter some sells. But until then, I really don't feel comfortable taking sells when we have opportunities like AUD USD already coming into fruition. But GBP USD, it really just wasn't a clean setup. We had a buy called, price broke above, swing high, and now we're starting to push down. I'm going to need to see us push down a little bit further and retest that zone to start looking to get into some trades. I think it's important for a lot of traders to understand that you can't try to force all these trades. If you have a bullish bias on the US dollar, why chase every single one of the pairs that are a USD cross? You can easily find a pair that is your setup that you want. You know, just flip through them. Actually study each of these markets and see what's going on. You know, use different indicators to kind of help you out and guide you. I use the DeFi Da Vinci cheat code. If we're not calling buys or sells, I'm not getting in trades. That's just how it works for me, you know. So for me personally, I have a bullish bias on the U.S. dollar. So I'm not going to be looking to trade against the U.S. dollar. So unless, you know, for example, GBP USD, unless I get a sell call on the DeFi Da Vinci cheat code and all of my rules go into play, I can't take an entry. But if you come back here on AUD USD, we got a sell call back here. Price is rejecting off. I do have that bullish bias. This one was a little bit of a different trade because I had played off of a double top rejection here. But, you know, it's just another setup that I look for. It's not something that I do often, but it is a setup that I like. And shout out to Jaden. He did call a nice little scalp on AUD USD earlier with the exact same entry I had. So, I mean, we were kind of looking at the same thing. As soon as he called that trade, I knew. I was like, okay, if he's calling trade two, I'm getting in this trade. It's just something that was a personal choice. But, as a trader, you gotta follow your setups. You set up these rules and you set up these ideas for yourself. You say, only if this happens, then I'm going to trade. I mean, if you break those rules and wonder why you're losing, you're crazy. You set those rules for a reason. You got to follow your rules. So we can take a look at we have a setup forming right here. I mean, this might not come down, but if it does, great. So USD CAD price broke above here. We have the bullish bias on the US dollar. Now we just need some form of rejection back down to here. I need this swing high touched. If this price doesn't, I mean, somewhere close, cool, I guess I take it. You could use something like fib. You could say, okay, here we go. Price pushes up. Why is this white? Price pushes up. If we get, you could take entries, I mean, all the way down on the longs. You could take a 38.2 retracement entry. You could take a 50% entry. You could take a 61.8 entry. 61.8 obviously is the golden zone for me here. It lines up perfectly with our most recent swing high where the buy candle was called. And yeah, I mean, that would be like an ideal entry for me. Stops below the call candle. And but until we see something like that happen, I don't think I'll be getting into this trade. Price could continue to fly, but we'll see what happens with this one. If we look at USD CHF, we got to have a little bit of a way to go on USD CHF. Let me get rid of all this. Oh, what am I clicking on? Cat, stop. Okay. So for USD CHF, we got to see something like this happen. Price needs to break above here. We need that buy signal. Let me flip this. So we need to see price push up, come down, reject nicely off of this, and off of that rejection, I'll be looking to take a buy. Another option you could do, although not an ideal trade setup for me because I'm not looking to trade sells, but if you wanted to get into something small here, or I mean potentially even large, I mean I guess it just depends on what news comes out like tomorrow. But price could push down. You could see price push back up to this swing low. We would get a rejection off of it and push down. Take your sells at that rejection. We got a nice sideways movement here. I mean, it's pretty clean on make a decision. It's price pushes up, rejects. I'm entering a buy. Price pushes down, rejects. You can enter a sell. So that's USD CHF, USD JPY, same thing. I mean, I really wouldn't be looking to take any longs on this until we see price push above here. You could take a long here. This is a potential long setup, and actually it's not a bad it's probably not a bad stop loss. Nice R&R here. Let's see. If you took a long position right here, 121 pip stop loss, 350 pip take profit if you just run it back up to the top. So honestly, it's not a bad trade. 3-to-1 risk reward, so that's also an option you could take there. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to go over what trade setups I'm looking at for the rest of the week, kind of go over the news, and I hope this helps. Premium members, once you watch this, if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out in the Discord. Have a good night.